What's good, Chiefs Kingdom? It's Tuesday, 6 o'clock Kingdom time. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. If you've watched the show before, might be a little bit different for you. New name, same crew, same fire, Chiefs takes. If you are new, or if you haven't clicked that like or subscribe button yet, go ahead and do that now. We became aware of another show that had a similar name to ours, so we decided to kind of change it up and differentiate ourselves and kind of give those guys some respect. So definitely we're not aware of that. So that's the new name, Chiefs Kingdom Live. We feel that's a better name, and it kind of encompasses and kind of like shows what we're talking about here more than anything. So we got Bo, we got Nick. I'm your guy Scott. How are you guys doing, fellas?
I'm still pissed off.
Me too. I'm with you.
We're gonna get to that.
I work with a bunch of Philly fans, and they're like, "Hey, we made the playoffs," and I kind of feel like an asshole because I'm like, "Bro, we lost the 1 seed on a bad call." They're like, "Oh, well, sorry about your spoiled fandom over there, but we're just happy to be here, guys."
Right. I was pissed off that we lost the 1 seed and we got fucking screwed by the referees and all this other, and Spags is a moron and all this other shit. Was pissed, and then that night game came on, and the Vikings had some guy like Mally on or some shit.
Man,
I was like, all right, maybe I shouldn't be that upset. Like, we still got it pretty good, but yeah, man, it's so frustrating. We'll get into all that.
First world problems.
Right? Yeah. First world fandom problems, issues, no doubt. If you haven't followed us yet, we changed up the names too on social media. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. On Twitter, it's Chiefs Kingdom abbreviated KNGDM Live. If you search Chiefs Kingdom Live, though, it'll pop up there. So go ahead and give us a follow. We've made a bunch of new friends here, following some really cool people, getting some good content, seeing some really funny takes.
Oh man, people have the greatest takes on some of our new followers, man. It's been hilarious to go through the Twitter feed.
Right. Oh goddamn, I was dying, dude. The guy that posted the DM where Anthony Hitchens DM'd him. Did you see that shit, dude? Like Anthony Hitchens was like said something to him talking shit, like, and the guy replied back was like, "Bro, just block me. Like, click my name and block me." He's like, "I didn't even at you. You're in my DMs." And Anthony Hitchens replied back, "Damn, you right." It's so funny. I sent that guy a message. I was like, "Bro, you gotta like frame that shit and hang it on your wall somewhere." Like,
that's great, dude.
Totally owned Anthony Hitchens, but yeah. So we got a new name, but nothing else is gonna change. So we're gonna be here every week. We're gonna be talking Chiefs, and in the show today, we'll start out. I don't know. We're not really talking about the Antonio Brown thing, but weren't you guys thinking? And it was so weird because it was at the Jets too, of the Marcus Peters fucking meltdown that he had a couple years ago, where he threw the flag into the stands and like took his shoes off and fucking left the field like.
Oh man, like the internet, like we've always said, is undefeated, right? The greatest thing I saw about that was rage quitting against an inferior opponent when you're getting your ass kicked is probably the most touching tribute to Madden in a way.
Yeah.
So
funny. Another good one was someone had photoshopped a sign in his hands, and it said, "The most ever fuck this job like move ever." Like, so funny.
I like how he didn't even like worry about not getting on the field during the game still as he left. He just was like right across the field, peaced out.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is that they don't have any video of it, right? Any video coverage of the sidelines, because like they said there was like an argument, and like I mean they're pretty good about capturing all that stuff. So it makes me wonder if
all I saw was him. Somebody did have some video of him like taking off his jersey and shoulder pads and throwing it onto the bench and then just like walking away. But you got to wonder like what was said there, I mean, just to be a fly on the wall.
I remember like having a front row view watching Odell Beckham get punched in the face by a kicking net. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's camera crews on the sidelines that like are pretty aware of the attitude of the players on the sideline.
Imagine if like the guy next to him was like mic'd up for the game and they got that audio. Come on, TMZ.
TMZ. AB or his agent or someone in his crew had leaked some info that he's still injured, and they told him, get out there and play. And he goes, I can't, I'm hurt. And the medical team had cleared him, and the coach said, no, you're not, get out there and play. And he says, I'm not playing. And supposedly told him, well, if you're not going to play, just leave the field then, leave the sideline. So if that's really what happened, that's probably not the right place or time to say that to Antonio Brown.
Well, look, I mean, I think that Antonio Brown has earned the right to have, us side with him until proven otherwise. I mean, there's been no other weird altercations with that dude.
Yeah, that guy's track record's clean.
Stand-up guy. I mean,
Dude, but that is a weird take for the coach to have, right? Like, if you're hurt or if you feel like you're mentally unfit to play right now, especially with like all the concussion protocol and stuff that they endure, like, if you feel like you're just not mentally fit to play, like, are you obligated to play? I mean, if you feel like you're hurt, are you obligated?
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird, right? Because the team doctors and the medical staff evaluate you, but no one knows how you're feeling like you do. We got a comment here, one man show. This is our boy Brian Bills, Big Bry. He's in the house.
Oh, nice. Brian, what's up, dude?
Fan cam of AB sideline argument. Yeah, there was some fans that posted some shit on social media that were videotaping the confrontation on the sideline. And again, I don't want to get too wrapped up in Antonio Brown. It just my mind instantly went to the Marcus Peters thing, and it was so weird because it was against the Jets. It was on the road. Yeah. And I'll just never forget watching Marcus being so mad at the referees and going from like a 10 anger scale to like a 10 laughing my ass off scale when I saw Marcus Peters throw the flag into the stands. Like, that shit was so funny. And then they're showing the fan in the stands. He's got the flag and he's like high five and everybody's like holding it up. I was like, dude, that's like got to be like top 5, top 3 souvenirs ever. Fan got at a game. I mean,
how much do you guys think his gloves and his shirt go for on eBay?
I don't know, but lots of players give their gloves or give a sweatband or something. So, dude, that's
going to be a historical moment in football, man.
There is literally probably that guy and nobody else that has an NFL flag from an actual game.
No, bro, Marcus Peters threw this at me.
Right? Yeah, You watch him lean down, pick that flag up, and chuck it into the stands.
We're talking about this on a Chiefs podcast. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is going to stand through the test of time. Like, you're going to see it down the road, even like compared to AB's blow-ups. You know what I mean? So, like, to catch those gloves or that shirt, like, I bet you those are going to be pretty pricey, especially in today's weird sports world.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Brian, he's with me, man. Brian's on my side here, dude. I'd rather have the flag than the gloves. I don't know. That's just rarity, right? Like,
Marcus Peters even said after he did that, he's like, I knew as soon as I did that, like, I was done with that team. Like, I did it, and I was like, yeah, no, they're right.
He took his socks and shoes off too, which was a weird thing to take off.
Yeah, that was a weird selection of garments to take off, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't. He said later he thought he was ejected. But again, you're taking the word of someone who has had issues in the past. So we'll move on from that.
During the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have to move on from that. It was just funny, and like I said, the coincidence of it being at the Jets too just was classic. Like, in my mind, it's Marcus Peters meltdown. So
I think they even showed the replay of that during that game.
Right, for sure. Okay, is there any news things you guys have heard about this week? I really haven't heard much. I saw that they had activated a couple guys off of IR. Lammon's a cornerback, and then I want to say maybe another lineman. Can't think of his name now, but
no, man, I hadn't seen anything as far as updates like that or anything.
I think Andy Reid said after the game that was it Niang?
Yeah,
Yeah, patellar tendon partial tear. They said he should be back and fine by training camp next year. And he's a young guy, and he's still got a few years with the team. So we'll prayers up to that guy, man. It sucks seeing guys get injured. That's just the reality of this game, though. It's a tough physical game. You got big guys, just a lot of weight, a lot of hits, and looks like Orlando Brown might be able to be back. He was practicing. I saw this week. He got
a limited practice.
Yeah, had like a calf strain in the warm-ups before the Bengals game. Joe Tooney moves from guard to left tackle.
Crushes it.
Looks like as good as any left tackle we've had on the team this year. Makes you wonder if maybe that dude should just play tackle out there. He's a little undersized for a left tackle, but
I mean, we're paying him the money.
Right. Kudos to Joe Tooney, man, for
and Allegretti too, right? Wasn't that Allegretti that stepped in, and we didn't really have. I mean, that 1 third down where they sent the house.
Right.
But other than that, the line held up, I thought, really well. So
yeah, man, when Niang went down, I kind of had like some Super Bowl flashbacks. Like, oh no, our linemen are going down. Like, oh no, like I know what this means, and super refreshing to see those guys step up and give Patrick Mahomes all the time in the world to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Right. I guess especially against that Hendrickson, that guy that plays on the edge, that side of the Bengals line. He's a hell of a pass rusher, so it wasn't like he was just out there against some league average edge rusher, pass rusher, defensive end. That guy was a beast. And Tooney, I think it said it was like 40 or 50 pass blocking snaps. He only allowed 2 pressures and no sacks. So, kudos to him. Kudos to Allegretti. He's an interesting dude. I remember when they drafted him, I saw a story about him, and he's like a world-class high school, college wrestler. And when that dude gets out there in the open field, you watch some of the blocks and then some of the takedowns that dude does. That guy is an animal, especially run. He's more known for run blocking, which I think is part of the reason that he's a backup with how the Chiefs want to play. But that dude is a mauler, no doubt. He gets out there and he pancakes people and he puts people on their ass. So good to have that kind of depth. Good to be able to have guys that can move around, guys that can come off the bench, play. You lose your 2 left tackles literally before halfway through the first, the second drive. I mean, it was a 3-9. I think he got hurt in the first play. So you can't plan for something like that. So other than that, though, injuries, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he has not practiced. We'll see. They didn't put him on injured reserve or anything, but
he didn't practice today.
Pretty nasty injury. Even though there was no breaks or anything like that when they,
structural damage doesn't mean anything else isn't. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but man, like swelling, is this your neck, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like that, you're taking hits and you're running back.
You touch that bone, man, and like, I couldn't imagine taking like a helmet right to it or something, even with a pad on. Ugh.
Yeah.
I think Tyreek Hill, when Tyreek Hill had his like pop in towards his lungs or something.
Yeah. That was against Jacksonville.
Yeah, he was out for 4 or 5 weeks after that.
Yeah, they took him to the hospital.
Such a brutal injury, dude.
Right, dude. They took I mean, Cheetah went to the hospital with that injury. That game against that was week 1 against Jacksonville, I want to say 2 years ago.
Yeah. Against Jalen Ramsey, I think, right?
I can't remember if it was Ramsey. I think maybe he had gone to the Rams at that point. Maybe not. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But so Chiefs are fairly healthy. Not much else news-wise. The game's been moved from Sunday to Saturday against the Denver Broncos. There's been some talk about that being a short week. What do you guys say? Do you think that makes that a huge difference? Moving it from Sunday to Saturday?
I don't think it's a huge difference, but I think that doing that on a whim really is kind of disrespectful to both teams, right? Like, they should know if they're going to have short weeks ahead of time so that they can prepare. If we are playing wild card weekends, it will give us an extra day. So, I mean, there's that on the backside of it, but I mean, I don't know. Back-to-back road games. Now you have a surprise short week. It doesn't seem really fair to the Chiefs, but I mean, I don't think it's like the biggest thing in the world, right? I mean, we had a Thursday night game and went and beat the Chargers. So I don't think overall it's going to be a huge deal, but it's more just like, you talk about player safety, you talk about this, you talk about that, oh, by the way, now you guys are playing on Saturday. That's just got to be annoying as hell to people in the organization, the players, the coaches, taking a whole day of prep time away from them. But luckily, we're playing the Broncos and they suck. So
I didn't hear any reason as to why they said they were moving it. They just said they were flexing it to Saturday. Did you guys hear?
I think the thought is they move it to Saturday because if the Titans play before the Chiefs and they win, then the Chiefs sit their starters and you get, a chance of maybe a boring game or whatever. So I think it's like a ratings competitive move by the network.
And if that's the case, that is completely unfair, right? It should just be the way the cards fall kind of thing. And
well, the Chiefs have to play to win either way, right? I mean, even if the Titans lose,
you would think.
You
would think.
That was going to bring that up today. I was like, well, we're probably going to keep our starters out there and, handle our own situation throughout the rest of the season. I mean, we're in the driver's seat. If we don't win, it doesn't matter. So,
right.
What did he say? I didn't see that.
How do you think it affects the chances of winning, Bo? Not much.
Well, I mean, dude, it's against the Donkeys. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about that at all. Like Nick said, we can handle a short week. It's nothing new to a football team by any means. The unexpectedness of it'll just be a little bit abrupt. Might make some people mad, put a chip on their shoulder. But I like it when our guys play with a chip on their shoulders. So, I just hope they're not overlooking it, like thinking it's going to be an automatic win. I know that's kind of cliche to win, but I know we've smashed the Broncos in the past, but we just got to stay focused. And this is a big win, even though it doesn't seem like that big.
We could go all the way down to the 4 seed, right?
Right. And then end up playing
home game that we could lose.
Yeah,
we should talk about those outcomes here in a minute in the playoff picture. But
I
don't think it hinders our ability to perform this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs could have got on the plane and flew from Cincy directly to Denver and played Denver that night and still kicked their ass. So I'm not really worried about it affecting our chances of winning or losing the game too much. The Broncos suck. They're terrible. Who's going to play quarterback for the Broncos? Because Drew Lock is injured now.
He came back, I thought, didn't he? I thought he came back and played.
Oh, I thought I saw there was a chance he might not play. So, Chiefs by 100 in that game.
Some other guy.
It's like, how long does Patrick Mahomes play for? A half?
Right.
If that?
Yeah. Yep. So the Chiefs got something to play for after losing the 1 seed. I guess we'll just use that to transition into this Chiefs-Bengals game. Endlessly frustrating game for Chiefs fans. I'm sure for the team as well. It was like there was so much stuff. I'm glad I was watching the game by myself because I was yelling and screaming at the TV and just was losing my shit, man. It's just so much about that game. I know we'll get into questionable play calling, and I know we'll get into refereeing and whatever you want to say. But, there you go. Brian's got ABs under center for Denver. Shit, it couldn't be much worse than what they got, right? So,
man.
They could at least snap it to him and he could run around or something. Probably better than what they're going to trot out there at quarterback for the Broncos. They've been terrible at quarterback ever since Peyton Manning left. No tears shed here, obviously, for that. But like I said, we'll break down the refereeing. We'll break down specific play calls and instances in the game. But, Nick, what your thoughts, feelings in general about that game Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals?
I mean, it's like I felt like, it's the Yogi Berra quote. It's deja vu all over again. I've seen that Chiefs game so many times that you had flavors of lots of things where we are, killer in the first half, struggle to score in the second half. You had penalties that seemed like they just came out of nowhere. Like the referees just felt like they're picking on one of the teams for some reason. I don't know why they got a hard on for throwing flags against only the Chiefs. You had just really questionable, poor, play calls, especially on defense, especially late in the game. And you had the Chiefs getting goal line stops, then only to find out that the referees had other options there. I mean, I just feel like I've seen, and also the Chiefs like scoring at will, and then the defense like not being able to let them really mount a lead that could have crushed the Bengals' hopes, right? You've seen that earlier this year. So it just kind of felt like a grab bag of everything bad about the Chiefs over the last 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, all kind of mixed into one game. And it was like you said, I mean, it was endlessly frustrating, especially in the second half, to see what looked like we were going to cruise to a victory really just slip away. And both at the fault of some of the players, some of the coaches, and then also aided largely in part to poor officiating, poor management of the game by the referees. So I mean, that's just, I was like, I don't really, I try not to get like super angry at football games anymore, especially because I have kids now and I don't really want to set that example for them. But I was really mad after that game, like unreasonably mad. Luckily, I hadn't shoveled the snow, so like I went out and like rage shoveled snow for like 2 hours, like after that in 9-degree weather, just because I was just so pissed off. Like I just couldn't believe that everything was set up, and you feel like not only did they blow it, but it also, like, you had that feeling of like they partially blew it, but then really kind of had it taken away from them, and everything was like lined up. And so I don't know. That's kind of my overall feelings of the game. What about you, Bo?
Dude, I couldn't agree more. We saw the Chiefs of every game this year. We saw the surgical precise Chiefs, and we saw the abysmal Chiefs. You know what I mean? And it was kind of scary to see such a dominant force turn into to something that couldn't do anything. But I mean, when you have that much help from the refs, I mean, I don't want to sit here and just rag on the officiating, but they had a lot of help from them. It's hard, man. It's hard to have things to gain yards when nothing's going your way like that. When you're getting every single call against you, when you're 2-1 on flags. It was, like I echo your guys' sentiments a lot. It was just extremely frustrating. I can't recall being that frustrated after a game because of one play, specifically one defensive play. I think One Man Show was alluding to that. Just the zone blitz. This is the most amateur move a coach could make in that moment. I mean, it doesn't even take a professional to know you don't bring the house in that moment at 3rd and 27. We can get more into that later. But overall, though, I'm not worried about how the team looks. I thought both our offense and defense still look great. I mean, they only won by 3 points when it was all said and done. We can count up all the ways it should have been the other way, but it's just frustrating. I guess that's my overall take, team. Just absolute frustration.
Right. Yeah, that's a good word to use. Yeah, it was, my thoughts over the game were like it was just the better team didn't win the game, and we've talked about this. The only team that can really beat themselves is the Chiefs, and I guess you could throw the referees into that mix now of teams that can actually beat the Chiefs. But just really aggravating. Just you get a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and then you give up a bomb 73-yard touchdown pass, and you then march right back down and get another touchdown, go back up 21-7, and you just felt like maybe the route was going to be on, and the Chiefs were the better team and are the better team. A lot of the stuff I saw Joe Burrow was doing, everybody talked about great game he had. He was just literally like, it was like you're playing 500 with your brother in the backyard, throwing it up for grabs and calling a number and seeing who can catch it. And some blown coverages and like you said. So yeah, just really aggravating. Let's just start talking right now. I mean, refereeing, officiating in this game. 4 referees were substituted in the day before. Including the white hat, including the actual referee, because all those other guys are line judges and ball judges and back judges, whatever. There's one referee. Everybody bitches about refs screwing. Well, there's only one referee on the field at the time. But it was just a hodgepodge, mix match, last minute, assortment of officials, some of which hadn't even been in the position they were in games before. I mean, you had guys that were back judges were doing line judges, and so, to me, that's just like unacceptable. Yeah. Leaving out all of the shitty calls that they made just to be in that situation and have to. They didn't even say why. I don't know if it was a COVID thing. I don't know if it was a travel thing. What the hell the deal was, but
no explanation.
To just not have a contingency plan for if you have referees go down, to at least have qualified officials in their trained spots, to me, is just that's inexcusable.
How do the refs not have a bench?
Right. Right. But even to go even further than that, just how shitty the calls were, man. Like there was one drive that stands out to me, and it was they called a pass interference on Rashad Fenton that was maybe it was pass interference, maybe it wasn't, whatever. They called it. Then I want to say 2 plays later, Jamar Chase shoves off Charvarius Ward in the end zone, clear as day, touchdown. Right. They don't call it.
Nothing.
Right.
And that's a drive that would have stopped on 3rd down that would have stayed alive. And then not only was it kept alive, then they got a touchdown on a play that should have been called a penalty. I mean, you're going to get bad calls from time to time. And I know people say, oh, well, blaming the referees, ballot of the loser. But the end of the fucking game, you miss a false start on 3rd and goal that would have made it 3rd and 6 with 3 minutes left. The Bengals would have, if they didn't get in the end zone, which we would assume they wouldn't have because they had 6 fucking chances to get in from like the 1 yard line and couldn't do it. You think they were going to get in from the 6 yard line in 1 chance? I don't. They kick a field goal there. The Chiefs get the ball with around 3 minutes and 3 timeouts left in Patrick Mahomes' show, right?
Right.
They get 6 stops at the goal line. 4th and goal, they hold them out again. It's a tie game. Phantom hands to the fucking face penalty. I just, like, I know people don't want to blame referees, and there was things the Chiefs could have done and coaches could have done. We'll get to that here in a second. But to me, this was just a game where even experts and people that are followed and ex-players and have a large following and talk about football for a living and write about football for a living that are always saying, oh, don't blame the refs. That's the ballot of the loser. That's sour grapes. We're like, yeah, man, the Chiefs got fucked in this game by the referees, man. Like,
right.
Just refereeing. Bo, floor is yours.
I mean, Joe Burrow all but thanked him, but after the game, right. Like, we got lucky on those calls, that's for sure. And, Jamar made some plays. So when your quarterback, the star quarterback of the game's like saying, oh, yeah, we got lucky on there, like, yeah, that's all it boiled down to, man. It's one of those subs. It's probably a Cincy fan. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there, my own speculation, but sure seemed like it. 2-1 on flags. I kept telling to Ashley, like, this seems kind of blatant, right? Like, it's 8th and goal right now. We're still trying to make a stop right now, and they've wasted 2.5 minutes on the goal line. Like, you rarely see this in football. Like, what's going on right here? It seemed blatant to me, and I don't want to like completely blame the refs because, like, man, we definitely blew some plays, but they did not make the situation any better for us. That's for sure.
Nick, have at it.
Scott will tell you that him and I have gotten in some pretty heated discussions in the past about referees and blaming the referees, and I am not a supporter of blaming the referees when you lose, especially if it's that call in the second quarter or whatever, right? But there are a couple of games where I will sit there and hand over my heart swear that the officials had a drastic impact on the outcome of the game. The first one was the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay. Now, I know that it was a drubbing, 31-9. Say what you want about that final score, but they called over 100 yards in penalties on the Chiefs in the first half. It was a Super Bowl record. It wasn't called consistently across teams. And the second game was this game against the Bengals. It was so bad. The calls were so bad, drive extending calls.
Yeah.
That, Bo, like, look, I'm not like saying that it's rigged, but people that are watching, it gives the appearance that it's not a fair play. It certainly looked like they were trying to push it towards that 5-point line that they had when the Chiefs were up. I mean, they literally took possessions away from the Chiefs and gave the Bengals that one touchdown drive the Bengals had was literally driven by questionable penalties, the entire thing.
Yeah.
And like we've got a couple here, like Brian or One Man Show said, saw one reply. The hold that brought back the kick appeared to be behind the play. Yep. He was already passed.
Over.
You should
and
not.
The guy was already
you should
falling
swallow
down.
the flag, right? Like he's falling backwards. He's kind of got the guy, but he's behind the play. It has zero impact on the play. You shouldn't wipe a touchdown out over something like that.
There's
Doug
players
here,
getting taken down on every kickoff and punt return.
Yep.
In every game.
Yeah. Doug here, the false start by Burrow, right?
Oh.
They call the defense offsides.
That one just it got me to my core.
You just at that level, those things should not be like happening, right? I don't give a shit who goes out and who you have to replace it. You're a $9 billion a year industry. Figure it out. Like think about not just like you can sit there and say that, well, it blew the Chiefs to 1 seed. Think about the financial implications to the city of Kansas City if we don't get the AFC Championship game versus if we do get the AFC Championship game. You're talking about millions of dollars to the city. Think about like the financial implications to one of the cities if the Chiefs now, because they have to play 3 games instead of 2, don't make the Super Bowl. How many millions of dollars does that cost our city because some incompetent POS ref can't figure out how to when to throw a flag and when not to throw a flag? Like, it's inexcusable. These people like have way too much power. They have zero accountability. There's no transparency. The league will not come out and sit there and say, yeah, we blew this game. And even when they do say that, they say, yeah, well, we blew that game. Sorry that you didn't get to go to the Super Bowl, Saints. But we'll go ahead and we'll like make that a reviewable play and then just do it like as a tongue-in-cheek thing because we're not actually going to change any of those calls and then that rule is going to go away, right? Like it's beyond frustrating, and you just want to feel like if you lose that you lost because you lost. You don't want to sit there and go, they just literally handed the win to the Bengals when they didn't need to. That hands to the face should never be called in that situation.
No.
When the Chiefs like were playing the Chargers and they literally wrapped up our receivers and tackled them on the last play of the game, what did everybody say? Well, they don't throw flags in that situation. Well,
why
do they throw a weak flag in a situation that literally changes the outcome of the game? The Chiefs should have had first down with 40 seconds left to go try to get in field goal range, or at worst case, it goes to overtime and then you're looking at a coin flip. And that was it was such utter bullshit that I'm still mad about it days later. And like we'll get into some of the other things that were infuriating about this game that could have made that less of a factor. But like everybody's making a big to-do about the Chiefs only scoring 3 second half points. They only got the ball 3 times, right? Scott pointed that out to me when I was like, well, we only scored 3 points. It's like, well, yeah, like you cut the possessions in half for a team because you keep extending drives, and then they can eat up half of the third quarter and fourth quarter because like you get off the field and then you don't get off the field. And so Patrick Mahomes doesn't get the ball. Like that's what's everybody say about how to limit the Chiefs. You keep them off the field. And when you have penalties that do that, it's, I don't know, man. It makes you like not want to watch. I'm still going to watch. I still love the Chiefs. Right. But it's a major problem that the NFL has got to figure out, especially with the postseason coming up.
Yeah. So I'm going to say one more thing, Scott, before we get to you. But like I said, it just seemed a little too blatant, right? And that's like one of the things with the appearance of it just seemed off to me. But could you imagine, regardless of what the score was, what the outcome was, if the Chiefs had won that game in the same fashion, what we'd be hearing this week about like, oh, the Chiefs going to need the refs to, help them through this game to only win by 3. That would be all you would hear. And like all I'm hearing on this end is Jamar Chase is a badass, which he is, right? Like that guy is a baller. I couldn't cover him. He would smoke me. It'd be ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like given. But at the same time, like we got to give credit where credit's due, man. Like they got a lot of help from the refs there, and they got a lot of help from our defensive coordinator. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah, just one of the worst, most horribly, awfully officiated football games I've ever watched in my entire life. Incompetent. Okay, there's a difference between you miss a play here or there, or look, it's hard to keep up and see every angle. We get to watch 5 angles of every play from home. So when there's a fumble, well, you know what? The referee might be on the other side of the play, can't see it, or he's trying to keep up with Jamar Chase, and he can't see the push off in the end zone because he can't keep up with Jamar Chase because there isn't a cornerback in the league, apparently, that can keep up with Jamar Chase. So a referee or a line judge isn't going to be able to keep up with him. Maybe they couldn't see it. Okay, but to have referees out of position, to have this hodgepodge come in there in such an important game and just miss call after call. I mean, we've been breaking them down here. Let's start counting them up. The Byron Pringle thing, that's a thing that happens on every punt and kickoff return. It had no effect on the thing. It happened after Pringle was already past him. That guy's not going to catch Byron Pringle.
Right.
The push off by Jamar Chase in the end zone that wasn't called. The penalty on Fenton that was questionable that allowed that play to even happen. The L'Jarius Sneed. What was that? Where he tackled the guy on the sideline while he's still in bounds, and they call that a penalty because it was too hard of a tackle.
Tony Romo says you can't throw the guy to the ground. And you're like,
right.
That's the definition of tackling, Mr. Romo.
Tackle football.
You have to pull the guy down from his collar for it to be a horse tackle. He didn't hit his arm around the guy like this and spun him and threw him out of bounds. There's 4. The missed false start at the goal line on the Bengals there on 3rd and goal at the end of the game. The missed false start against Joe Burrow. The bullshit hands to the face penalty against, I want to say that was L'Jarius Sneed. That dude kept getting screwed over and over in the game. That's 7? And I'm sure I'm missing a couple.
7 out of the 10 that we got right there, you can name as just being like complete BS. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I just, and you just, at some point you can't overcome. I don't care how bad it is. You at some point you can't overcome. You can overcome a bad call here and there, but
8 plays on the goal line drive.
Right. And to me, like I said, there's a difference between bad officiating and incompetent officiating, and that was incompetence.
It's gross incompetence, man.
That we saw on Sunday.
Ugh.
In one of the biggest games of the season and one of the biggest games of the week, with crazy playoff seeding and division championship implications. To me, that's just, man, like you just cannot let that fucking happen in the NFL. So, fuck you, refs.
You know what's funny? You were talking about, like, it's unfair to the refs. They can't see everything because we have all these different angles and stuff. You know who gets to see all those different angles? The refs in the booth who are supposed to call down when plays are that bad. And the most frustrating thing was after this game, I'm still just kind of like, ugh, going around my house. Like, I just flip it over. It's the Broncos-Chargers game. What happens? There's a play. Both the DB and the receiver kind of hand fighting. They push each other over. Ball comes in. They throw one flag. They call pass interference on defense, right? What happens 10 seconds later? The main ref gets a buzz, says, hey, actually, there's 2 flags on the play. They fixed it from the booth, man. Like,
right.
I don't understand how that happens in that situation, but not in any of those that we just brought up in the Chiefs game.
Right.
Because there's no transparency in how those calls are made, Bo. There's no rule for that. They literally are just doing that. It's not in part of any of their rule books that they can do that. They're just like they're trying to get more calls right is what they're saying. But you know, if you have to replace half of your crew, why is the person not like looking very tough? You know, at those calls that are being made, hey man, we got some people out of position here. We've got a crew that's never worked together before. Why are they not putting those calls under the microscope and sitting there and going, you guys got to hold back on some of these flags. You're throwing too many flags that are inconsequential. I mean, they could have that conversation during the game, but nobody knows. It's a giant black box that, just spits out random shit. and then the teams just have to deal with whatever happens. Like it's like literally just it's like throwing dice and being like, oh man, I got double sixes. Yeah, I win the game because they threw a flag at the goal line. It just has no bearing in reality. And that's why it's so frustrating, because you just don't even, there's no point if the game isn't based on skill. It's like playing Candyland with your kids. Dude, Candyland is a lot of fun. I play with my kids, but it is 100% a game of chance, and whatever card you get is just what you get. There's no skill, right? There's no world championships of Candyland, because it's all based on random chance. And that's how you feel when you watch these games and like they just throw like just BS flags.
Right.
Yeah. Well, speak for yourself. I'm the Candyland fucking champ, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, we know that Scott's
I don't doubt that.
Right, yeah.
because he rage quit when he doesn't win.
And I forgot the BS pass interference on the Jerry Sneed on a third down play, where you show the replay and he's just got his hand on the guy's stomach, doesn't grab the jersey, doesn't pull the guy. The ball is thrown 2 yards behind the receiver before he makes his cut. Not only was he not grabbing or turning the receiver, the ball wasn't even catchable.
Wasn't catchable.
I saw someone put out on Twitter a couple of things, and then we'll move on from the referees. There was 4 scoring drives by the Bengals that were kept alive on 3rd or 4th down by penalties, where the Chiefs would have got a stop and would have got off the field. 4.
Yeah.
And then there's I came across these guys. It looks like they're fairly new. I don't know how they calculate this win probability statistic, but they said that the Bengals had a 60% win probability chance added by officiating, by the calls, by the penalties called against the Chiefs and the penalties called against them in the game. It was, amazingly, only the 3rd highest win probability given by the referees this season. I can't imagine there's 2 games where a team got fucked by the refs more than we did this week, but according to this metric that they've come up with, the Chiefs, it was by far the largest margin.
Well, they blew the Cowboys game too, right?
So yeah, they could. I think the Cowboys game got had some bad calls too. But so yeah, and all that said, the Chiefs still lost by 3 points on the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, take away. We said there was 7 or 8 questionable or bad calls. Fuck, dude, you could have 4 or 5 bad calls and the Chiefs would have won that game.
Right. It reminds me of that Raiders game last year that we lost, the victory lap game.
Oh, fuck.
Where it's just, it felt like the exact same thing. Lots of big plays. The defense gave up. But ultimately, the referees just took so many points off the board and gave, it just didn't feel like a fair fight.
Right.
Right.
Okay, well, we can move on from referees now. I think we've brought it all up.
I gotta drop out real quick, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
I
got EMS on standby here. Let's change this for Scott here, because his blood pressure is boiling. Let's switch it to a calmer
my face
subject.
isn't as red as my fucking jacket. The shit drives me insane, man. You have a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you have shit show like that with your fucking referees.
Dude, the fact that they can't just implement some technology. You know what I mean? I'm not saying for every single play, for every single call, but like when you flip it over to another channel and they're doing it, and you're just like, well, where is that on every fucking game?
Another one I forgot about was where they tried to give him the first down, and the dude was like almost a full 2 yards short of the stick, and that Andy Reid had to challenge it.
Yeah. Oh,
Why
yeah.
do you have to fucking waste a challenge on that?
Have them measure it. Yeah. Oh, I think you
have
the
respot
spot
it.
was
Have
terrible,
someone in the
but-
booth call down and be like, dude, you need to open your eyes. That guy was fucking a yard and a half short, dude.
Again, though, the booth should call down and be like, actually, the spot's at this yardage, right? Like, it doesn't make sense that the booth's just been absent for most of these games.
Are you guys still bitching about the referees?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, because I had forgotten about the challenge that Andy Reid had to make on the spot of the ball where the guy was almost a full 2 yards short of the sticks, and they call a first down. Like, I couldn't believe what the fuck I was seeing.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. So let's move on from that. We're talking about what did the Chiefs do, and Bo is showing you something right there that looks like a play for Madden, but no,
it is a play from Madden. It's called Out Blitz.
Yep.
That is what we decided to run on 3rd and 27
So
Pretty much keep
right.
them at bay.
Right. To me, we were just talking about incompetent refereeing. That is incompetent defensive coordinating and play calling in that situation. It's 3rd and 27. I think they're out of field goal range, or maybe it's like a 55-yarder.
Yeah, they were out.
It was close. It was close, though. I mean, they were 4, 5, 6 yards away from a long field goal. But in that situation, the game is tied. There's 3 minutes left. The one thing you can't do is let him get a first down or a touchdown right there. Hell, it would have even been better for him to get a touchdown than just
right, because then you get the ball with 3 minutes.
Then you get the ball with a chance to go down and tie it. But Jamar Chase has been burning, and no disrespect to Charvarius Ward, he was in position a lot of the times on those contested catches. The guy just goes up, makes a circus catch, one-handed on the sideline, tiptoes in. Unbelievable play by that guy. Ward's in position. You leave that guy single covered and bring the fucking house on blitz when literally the only thing that you can do that's going to lose you the game is giving up a first down on 3rd and 27.
Just tell me where we struggled defensively to get to Joe Burrow bringing 5, bringing 6. Like, no, we didn't. We sacked him. Like, we were getting in his face all day. He's having to step up and run on us most of the day. Like, why are you bringing everybody in that situation, man?
His nameplate was ripped off of his jersey. That's how much pressure, how much harassment and a beating he was taking from the Chiefs pass rushers in that game.
Well, and how do you not get there if that's the call?
Because he sees it and he just throws it up for grabs 30 yards downfield. I mean,
I know, but like, how the fuck does the guy have a chance to get 30 yards downfield?
Well,
when you're bringing 8, Nick's saying when you're bringing 8 guys, how does he have that much time? You know,
exactly.
What I mean?
Right. Those guys' arm strength. He rainbowed it up there and it came down. But to me, that's incompetent by Spags, man. You can't.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I'm not saying it was a good call. I'm just saying that it's a bad call, especially when you're getting torched. There's only one guy that's going to beat you in that situation. You could have like double covered him and still brought a huge blitz. You could have had help over the top there. You should have had help over the top. You should have knocked that guy on his ass at the line of scrimmage is what you should have done, right?
Jam him.
Yeah, jam him. But if you are just gonna, try to, put them on the table and be the big badass and be the bullies, and you're gonna bring the all-out blitz, like you got to get there. So I mean, it's poor coaching, and then just how do the players they know they got to get there? How do they just not get there? I mean, it was a failure on all fronts. It was poor coaching and then poor execution by the players. So
yeah, I'm not even going to give them that much credit and say if you blitz, you got to get there in that situation. There's no way you can blitz in that position right there and make that play call. That literally, I don't know how many plays are in the defensive playbook that he has to pick from, but he found the one that was the absolute worst call for that situation somehow.
I wonder what level of football you get down to where a coach is like, yeah, that's the play I would call in that situation. Right? Like, probably high school, maybe Yaffle. Like, I don't see anybody saying that they would call that play in that situation, regardless of who you're playing, the score. You know what I mean? You're like, here's what's left. 4th quarter, 3 minutes left. It's tie game. It's 3rd and 27. What defensive call are you calling here? All out blitz? Like, dude, it just baffles me. It baffles me that, like, not only did he call that, Andy Reid was okay with it. He didn't say timeout. No, let's try something else. All of these players who say they're too smart, went with it. They just did what they were told and like, yeah, we're going out blitz and just went for it. Like no thinking for themselves whatsoever. Like, if you're the team captain, how do you not audible out of that play and be like, hey, actually, you know what? Cover 2, cover. Like, it just baffles me that it was a complete
cover fucking
all ends.
Just say, man, I'm sorry, my headset cut out on that one, Spags. I didn't hear the play, so we just, did something that didn't suck.
And another thing about that play too, I saw later on Twitter, one of the people we follow on there pointed out was Chris Jones, after dominating at defensive tackle and wrecking the inside of their line, was lined up at edge rusher, defensive end on that play too for some reason. Just mind-numbingly stupid decision. I have maybe a little bit too much George Steinbrenner in me, and I get worked up in the moment. I was like, he needs to be fucking fired for that play call. Like, you have the 1 seed on the line in the AFC playoffs. You've got a gravy game to wrap it up at Denver in the last week of the season to get the one bye week in the AFC and get home field advantage, and you fuck it up like that. To me, I've been in my job for 12 years. I think I do a good job. There's some things that I do at my job, I'm getting fired. It doesn't matter.
Imagine losing the biggest account your company's ever seen. You're like, oh, actually, I didn't get the biggest one. I got the 4th biggest one for us now. Like, what?
Yeah, because I forgot to give them the presentation. I forgot it was yesterday, so I just didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, man. Goddamn. But not only that, but then when they get down to the goal line, not letting them score.
Yeah.
Well, they stopped him. So
I realized they stopped him, but the referees, you had to figure you were getting screwed by the refs, just like you have to figure Jamar Chase has been lighting you up all game. Maybe cover him. Refs have been fucking screwing us over the whole game. Maybe we should take that out of their hands too and not give them a chance to do it. Bo, what do you think? Do you think they should have let them score right there at the end?
Yeah, man, I was actually texting some of my buddies in Arizona and Texas at that exact time, having that exact discussion, and we were all in agreement. Just let them score here. You know what I mean? Like, they're not stopping us. We're doing well. Like, they're just eating up the clock. It was so obvious, like, that they wanted to just get that first down, maybe run a couple more. You know what I mean? Like, I think they ultimately wanted to score that touchdown at the end, and they couldn't, which then they kind of went to panic mode. But, I mean –
yeah, and Romo was saying, well, it looks like Burrow's maybe not even trying to score on that last play there. If you look at him, he's got a lane where he could have ducked in there and got it. Dude, grab his ass and pull him into the fucking end zone.
He was trying to score, but I mean, we alluded to it, man. Like, if they score, you have 2 minutes, maybe under 2 minutes, 3 timeouts, and Patrick Mahomes. Perfect. Like, that's all you need. And the fact that they just didn't let him walk right in kind of baffles me right there. You know what I mean? Hats off to the defense for stopping them 7 times, but, like, you know, you give somebody 8 chances, they're probably going to score from the 3-yard line. So
yeah, I mean, you know, 7th and goal, or fucking whatever, 6th and goal,
8th and inches.
Right after I'm not going to get back into the referees. I was going to say,
I don't know.
I know.
I'm okay with not letting him score and getting the stop. I think that we have a great goal line defense. I think that managing the game based on thinking that you're going to get penalties is probably not a good way to play.
Even in that game?
Even in that game. I think that I'm okay with how they handled that. You get Patrick Mahomes the ball with, you know, just almost a minute left to get into field goal range. I think that the playmakers are going to deliver there. I just think that also the NFL officiating just shouldn't be incompetent in that situation. So I think that the 3rd and 27 is the call. You know, if we want to sit there and pick things apart, not getting that play right there, and then also not punting on 4th and 5 from the 45. I think that we needed to get something going there. And then also, you know, not picking up that blitz and having to kick the field goal there right before Burrow and went down and won the game, not getting 7 there, you know, ultimately coaching wise, not figuring that out, how to get a touchdown and, you know, get more than points on like more than one drive in that second half. I mean, those are the coaching things that really just were a head scratcher to me. And I know Scott's not as big of a fan of Gore as I am. And I know Williams had a fine game, but how do you look at that run from Gore on his first touch of the game, and then he gets 3 touches for the game?
Right, dude.
I don't understand. I will not understand. We were running all over them. I don't understand how you have a guy that busts a huge run like that. It reminded me shades of the Ravens playoff game where Jamal Charles had that 46-yard touchdown run, and then they just didn't give him the ball. I don't know what Gore has done to not not get on the field more.
Pissed off the wrong person.
He's shown that big play home run capability in a couple of games there, and the Bengals were there to be had with the run game. They were giving us the run game. Darrell Williams he's not a terrible back, but he was killing it in that game. And Gore has more explosive capability. I bet you on some of those runs that Williams had, Gore probably could have got 2 to 3 times the amount of yards. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean,
I agree with you.
And he had 3 carries.
I completely agree with you. That's why I put this thing down there, the Derek Gore thing. I mean, I had that ready to roll.
Oh, there you go.
Look at his yards per carry, 12.3 yards per carry, like on 3 carries. How do you not give him the ball until that goes down to 4 or 5 yards per carry? Like, even then, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, he got stoned on one run, but there was, I mean, the guys were just there. I mean, sometimes that happens. There's going to be times where you get stopped, but when you show that you can run the ball, 30 plus yards, I mean, 25 yards on your first carry from scrimmage, and then you get the ball 3 times. It just that seemed off to me. So,
yeah, I mean, I like Derek Gore. Don't get me wrong. If you've watched this show this season, you know how my feelings about the running back position. I saw one of the funniest tweets all year today where someone had retweeted the tweet about Darrell Williams being 30 or 40 yards shy of a 1,000-yard season. Oh, no, that's receiving and rushing. But still, that's 1,000 yards a season. That's a damn good season. It was being a breakout, and the person retweeted it and said, all while being a backup to the human snail. Dude, that shit was so funny. The human snail. Like, man, I don't want to turn this into a bash Chiefs players show. We're not going to do that. But, yeah, man, I mean, I'll take Williams or Gore over Clyde at this point. Derek Gore's career long run is a lot longer than Clyde's in the human snail. So
I think he's got 2 runs this year that are longer than Clyde's longest ever. And how many touches has the guy got?
Exactly.
How is it that we see this, but they don't? Like, it doesn't make sense to me, man. Like, we do this every fucking week. We see it, and then, like, they'll do it, like, 2 weeks from now. You know what I mean? Like, Derek Gore will probably get the majority of our handles, first week of playoffs.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe they're going to switch it up in the playoffs. But I don't know. It seems off to me. And I know that there's like, a hierarchy and a depth chart and all that, but I mean, it's a meritocracy out there. When you are busting long runs and you've
ask Tony Romo.
Yeah, you've gotten 12 carries and 2 of them are for 20 plus yards. Why are you not getting more?
When your first round running back has been on the team for 3 years and doesn't have a run longer than 30 yards, like I don't get it. I don't understand, and that's probably why I'm doing this show instead of coaching for the Chiefs. And maybe the guy fumbles all the time in practice, or he doesn't know pass protection or something. Who knows? I mean, there's things information that we're not privy to.
That's for sure. But the information we are privy to kind of says the exact opposite. Like, they should be playing this guy until that's not the case.
Eye test. It's as simple as the eye test. You can always tell as a fan when a player has it versus when they don't, if you watch the game enough. And we've seen enough from CEH to know that he's going to get you 3 or 4 yards, but he's not going to get you a 20-yard run. He's not going to be that breakaway guy that's going to, bust for a 60-yard run.
Yeah.
And we do have somebody on the team that has shown that they have that capability. So, I mean, would you rather take a couple of 1-yard carries and then a 20-yard carry, or would you rather get 3 4-yard carries? I mean, I think that And we haven't even seen him get a full load. And some of those guys, they get stronger as they get more carries, right? They get like they start picking up momentum. You don't even know if he got 15 carries. I mean, we had one drive this year where he was like the entire drive, right? So I don't know. He had that huge running catch play. Was it against the Steelers this year? Was it against the Steelers?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'd like to see that guy get the ball more. I think that he's got huge play potential, but I'm probably wrong. We'll probably like give him 20 carries and he'll suck. But
no way, man. He looks phenomenal. We've been saying that since the Giants game when we were watching him live. Like he looked different than the other two guys. That's for sure.
Yeah. And Williams, credit to him. He had a great game. You know, he had some.
He's had a good season.
Yeah, he's had a good season. He had some tough runs there. I mean, where he was not just, you know, going and then getting. I mean, he was hitting guys. He was trucking some people. He was breaking some tackles. I mean, he was running angry. So, you know, I not to detract from what he did. So I just when you're scoring 3 points in the second half, like, and you got a guy that, you know, is sitting on the bench that maybe has like a home run in him, you know, you should probably switch some things up. But
dude, how different was that game though if Tyreek Hill catches that 60-yard bomb?
I was just about to say, on top of the poor coaching decisions or the questionable calls, Travis Kelce had a big drop and Tyreek Hill had a big drop.
Yeah.
Why you know, the anthem of this show all year has been catch the damn ball.
That's what we should name the podcast.
Yeah.
Catch the damn ball.
Not a bad idea. Catch the damn ball podcast. And at this point, it's the cheetah and you know, TMFK, man, Travis Mother and Kelce with the drops. What is going on? Is it? I don't. Is it going to continue into the playoffs? I mean, those are the guys you count on to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis Kelce's was a second down. It ultimately caused the drive to stall because they didn't get third down.
Right. But he would have had the first down on that play.
And here's the deal: when the other team is having these long drives, you can't have mistakes because you just don't have as many at bats. The Tyreek Hill drop to me is, I mean, that's inexcusable. I don't know what's going on with that dude this year, but that was his 10th drop, and he's had a couple of those that have been picked.
And going into the year, I want to say, like, he had one of the lowest drop percentages of any starting receiver the last 5 years or however many years he's been in the league now. I'll say 4 or 5 years. They just not practicing it, or they just not? I don't
know.
What is it?
I wish I knew, man. It is uncharacteristic, though, for those two guys especially to be doing it. And on that play, like that 60-yard bomb, how many times have we seen him make that play? I mean, maybe we were just getting spoiled because we've seen him do it so many times, but that's just been absent this year. We haven't seen him.
It did get punched out at the end there a little bit by the defender, so give the defender a little bit of credit, but you got to make sure you secure it tight and get it in there and not let the guy punch it out. So that was not, you know, your typical drop. Oh, shit, it hit me in the hands, I dropped it, but still, yeah, definitely a play, the negative play that impacted the game.
The thing about Tyreek is he's gonna get slower, right? I mean, as the years go on, his biggest thing has always been his speed, and I think he's a, you know, underrated route runner. So I'm not saying he's like a one-trick pony, but as some of those gifts start to wane a little bit, if you want to continue to be the number one guy, I mean, you've got to have hands, right? You can't get to where you're starting to get a little bit slower and start dropping the ball all the time. And that's just that's a terrible way to look. I mean, especially at this part of the season where it's just like, I mean, I can't. It's inexcusable in that situation to drop the ball. And I love Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's an electric, amazing player, but I mean, that's 3 points at least. How many do we lose by, right?
Right.
So
yeah, Yeah, and all that said, all the referees in this last hour of all the mistakes and all the screw ups and all of the getting hosed by the refs, the Chiefs still lost by 3 points
Right.
on the road. It
Yeah,
really,
still
and I put
over
this out
30,
on
right?
the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter. It reminded me of that game against Tennessee from 2 years ago, where every call went against us. We did everything you could possibly do wrong at the end of the game to give the game away to Tennessee. And
It still
what
took a
happened in the
field
rematch?
goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, wasn't it the same game too? Wasn't the game before the last game too?
No, it was like halfway through because that was right before the long winning streak.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
That's right.
yeah, and people are saying, "Oh, the Chiefs, you don't want to play the Bengals again in the playoffs." You think they're going to get all that shit again a second time to go their way?
Right.
No. In Arrowhead? No, not going to happen. I'm not scared of the Bengals. I want to play the Bengals again. Honest with you, I want to kick the shit out of them. I want to embarrass them.
I do too.
But
Could be a possibility.
let's. I don't know. We're about an hour in. I know it's one of Nick's kids' birthdays here, so we can't be going on for too long tonight. The Broncos game, there's nothing really to break down there. The Chiefs own the Broncos. The Broncos are trash. Chiefs are going to win that game. Let's just talk about
#analysis.
Yeah, let's talk about playoffs real quick here. Chiefs obviously lose the 1 seed for the time being. Tennessee moves up into the 1. Tennessee plays the Texans, who actually I believe beat Tennessee earlier in the year, though.
And beat the Chargers.
And beat the Chargers.
Tell me there's a chance.
And if there's anybody on the Texans coaching or personnel staff that's watching Chiefs Kingdom Live right now, you know it would be really good for Deshaun Watson's trade value going into the offseason? Play him one more game and have him ball the fuck out and beat Tennessee, and you might get that 3 first-round draft picks you're looking for. Just saying, if anybody knows how to get that message to the Houston Texans coaching staff and front office, you're welcome. You don't even have to pay me for the consulting fee that you would normally have to pay somebody for advice like that. Chiefs are looking like they're going to be the 2. It's going to come down to some funky stuff here. The Raiders play the Chargers, and the actual last game of the season will be the last game played, I want to say, on Sunday Night Football this coming weekend. Winner of that game gets the Chiefs. As long as the Chiefs, which we just said they're going to kick Denver's ass because they own the Broncos. So, you guys, I see a lot of people are like scared of the Chargers for some reason. And I mean, I know they beat us at home, but it was another one of those things where everything went their way. We gave the ball away 4 times and lost to them barely at home after they got a bullshit pass interference call that kept the game-winning drive alive there at the end. And, oh, by the way, tackled Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill on the Hail Mary at the goal line, which should have given us an untimed play there at the end to try to tie that or win that game. The Raiders, I would rather play the Raiders. I'm sure you two are probably in agreement with that after beating them by a combined score of 12,385 to 10 or whatever it was this year in the 2 games against the Raiders. Not only that, but just being able to beat the Raiders' ass in the playoffs would be great. A home playoff game against the Raiders would be terrific. You've got the Colts are in. You've got the Patriots and the Bills in there. If things were to finish up the way they are now, where Chiefs play the Chargers, then you've got the Bills, Patriots, and then Bengals, Colts playing each other. Any teams you don't want to play? Anybody that worries you? How do you think the Chiefs are looking? Even if they get the 2 seed, do you think Tennessee loses a game at home possibly to one of those teams down there, Colts, Bengals, Bills, Patriots? How are you feeling now that the Chiefs have lost that, or no longer in the driver's seat for that 1 spot, looking at the possible opponents coming up? Nick?
I mean, if I had to pick, obviously the Raiders are the weakest team. That's when you think about the 7 seed, that's more of the team that you would expect to be in the 7 seed rather than the Chargers, which, I mean, the Chargers would be a probably the strongest 7th seed you'll see. I think just because they've really had some head scratching losses and really blown some stuff. I guess their coach kicked a field goal on a short 4th down, so maybe he's learning. But I'm of the opinion that if you think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, you really can't be scared of any of the teams going in because they're going to have to beat all the best teams. So that doesn't mean that they couldn't have an easier path. I mean, ultimately, I give the Texans maybe more of a chance than some other people do of beating the Titans. It's a division game. The Texans have actually shown some life in some of these games, which is startling. I think they just got throttled by, was it the Patriots? But they beat the Chargers. They beat the Titans earlier this year. Is that what you said, Scott?
Yep.
So probably 25% chance that they beat them. The Chiefs end up with the 1 seed. That'd be pretty cool. So that's it's not likely. Let's take the Chargers. Just give us the Chargers. Let's put this to bed that Patrick Mahomes is better than Justin Herbert, that we're a better team, that we own the West, and we'll just move forward. Let's get all this out of the way because I feel like in the postseason you're going to see Patrick Mahomes be Patrick Mahomes, do Patrick Mahomes things. I think that we have the pedigree of a championship team, and yeah, exactly right. And I think that they're pissed off. They got to be pissed off after that loss to the Bengals. They just have to feel like they're mad at themselves. Like the media, you saw some of the players tweet it, right? So hopefully they're going into this postseason with a huge chip on their shoulder and they go God mode and just dismantle some teams. And if they're going to dismantle a team, I'd really like to see it be the Chargers. As funny as it would be to see the Raiders get their ass kicked again, I'd really like to see it be the Chargers and really just put a drubbing on them because, that's been the whole talk is Herbert and Joe Burrow. Are they better than Patrick Mahomes? Like when those quarterbacks really haven't done shit and their best seasons are right in line with Patrick Mahomes' worst season. So
just real quick, Nick, do you think the Chargers are better than the Colts?
Yeah, definitely.
You think they're better than the Patriots?
Yes.
Do you think they're better than the Bills?
No. I think that they're the same team as the Bills. I think that they have a quarterback that can play really well, but can also lose you a game. And, they're like the box of chocolates, right? Like you never know what you're going to get with either of those teams. So, yeah, like I said, that would be like probably the weirdest 7 seed that you're going to see if it's the Chargers, which more than likely it's going to be, right?
Yeah, I don't see the Raiders taking out the Chargers. I mean, who knows? Division games.
Yeah.
The Raiders are notorious for hanging around and ruining people's day. But Nick kind of shed some light on the thought I have, man. Bring it on. Bring on everybody, man. There isn't a team here that actually there's 2 teams that I'm not like afraid of, but like I'll explain why like they should take note, right? But as far as everybody else, we got to beat them to get to the Super Bowl. And then in the Super Bowl, you got to beat that team. I know that's going to be an NFC team, but, we got to beat the best to get there. So bring them all on. I really like the way the Chiefs looked, even in this last game against Cincy. I thought we looked on fire. All of our secondary wide receivers are stepping up, making big plays. We have Derek Gore in the background. If they can use him, I'm stoked on our offense. Love what our defense is doing. You know what I mean? Like, man, they have turned it around 180 degrees from the beginning of the season. So I'm just thrilled with what the team's done, where they're at. Even coming off of a loss, I think we're there, man. The only 2 teams that I'm kind of concerned about, one is Tennessee, right? Like they might get Derrick Henry back. They look like a completely different animal with that guy on their team. Like they can use. I don't know that he comes back and is like effective right away, but I mean, you put him out there, you immediately got to like shift your focus to, oh shit, he's out there. You know what I mean? And like whether he gets the ball or not, you're paying attention to that guy.
Yeah,
so
and AJ Brown too, right? I mean, having AJ Brown on their team and Derrick Henry makes them a tough match,
right? And so like he opens that guy up that much more, when he's on the field. So yeah, great point. And then the second team I'm worried about, which we saw this past weekend, the officiating team. Like, God dang it. Like, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's a real thing, man. They are affecting games. They've been affecting games all year. I just hope they clean it up. I hope that the booth is a more active part in all these games than we've seen. And those are the two teams I'm worried about. But other than that, I think we got that still.
Yeah, I got one man down here. Any team with big physical receiving core has a good chance at beating the Chiefs. We rely on tight coverage without checking O-line or checking on line of scrimmage. It didn't work with repetitive man-to-man play calling. Yeah, and
That's our weakness.
AJ Brown is a big physical receiver. I don't know. Tennessee beat us earlier in the year pretty handily, and if it's looking like if you have to play them, you have to go on the road. So I would rather not play Tennessee.
Right.
Maybe for as much as venue, right, is necessarily how you match up with the team. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm not worried about John. I know people, Jonathan Taylor, and they could run the ball. I mean, how many times have you heard that the last few years? Oh, that's how you beat the Chiefs, run the ball. You don't beat the Chiefs, run the ball. You have to score a lot of points. Carson Wentz gets in a duel or has to come back from Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to. The Patriots, they were a little bit of fool's gold there. They had that long winning streak, but they're playing a third-place schedule, and now they've played some upper echelon playoff caliber teams here. They've lost a couple games now. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Colts. So I don't view them with Mac Jones as a major contender. I think the Raiders are an easier game than the Chargers. And like I said, I would love to go to a Chiefs-Raiders playoff game, man. You're talking about an atmosphere.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be fucking fun, man.
Maybe they stomp on the logo again, you know?
So same question you had for Nick. Do you think the Chargers are better than the Colts?
Yeah, I think Chargers are better than the Colts.
Yeah.
Are they better than the Patriots?
I think so, but they lost to the Patriots a few weeks back, so that's hard to say. I'd say they're pretty close, but I would give the edge in a rematch to the Chargers.
And are they better than Buffalo?
I think they're better than Buffalo.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, I don't. Josh Allen to me is like all of Buffalo's fucking team. Like that dude he's their running back, he's their quarterback, he's there. I don't. The Bills in that game, they got the benefit of a huge call and a momentum swinger, and it was a weird game. That was before the Chiefs' defense was really coming around, and the Bills had kind of peaked. I think the Chargers with Austin Eckler and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have better weapons than the Bills. Stephon Diggs is one of the better receivers in the game, but and the Chargers' defense, I know their defense has been getting smoked and shredded every which way, but loose. But they, at the same time, they do have Bosa, and they can kind of pressure the quarterback a little bit. And they've played the Chiefs tough 2 games this year, beat us at home, and then had us down there late in the return match there in LA. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not scared to play the Chargers, but Chargers and Tennessee are probably the 2 teams I would like to avoid most out of the current playoff field.
I think everybody's afraid of the Chargers because, like what you just said, they played us really tough both games. You know what I mean? Even though they got a lot of help that first game, that second game was still really close.
And I guarantee you, if you break it down, we outgained them in yards and first downs, and we gave, like I said, first game, 4 turnovers. Like, Chiefs are better than the Chargers, but I think the Chargers are tougher competition than maybe all but Tennessee in the AFC as it sits right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap this up.
I was about to say, let's go Raiders, but I'm never going to fucking say, let's go Raiders. I'm never going to root for the fucking Raiders. I don't care what it is. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. I don't care if it –
What's the scenario if they tie?
I don't know then, man. Like, you just went down the rabbit hole. I
don't think any pundits thought that either.
I don't know. Maybe that's
what it was like trying to do that math. He's like,
I think it would go to the Chargers.
Maybe that's one of those situations where you start looking at like common opponents on primetime game tiebreaker shit. You start getting really deep into the there's like a sack race. There's like a sack race or a coin flip or some shit. Like, who knows, man? I don't know.
I mean, they would both be 9-7-1. I'm trying to look up. I don't have their division records in front of me. I think they're tied though, division wise.
I don't know. That would be a wrench in the system there for sure if
That
if
would
they
be
tied.
great. They tie, and then like the Ravens or the Steelers get in.
I would think
Ravens and the Steelers get in instead.
I would think the Chargers would get in because they're tied right now, right? They have the same record right now,
Yeah.
and they would be in if the season ended right now. So I think if they ended up tied record wise again at 9-7-1, then you would get the. I think you'd still get the Chargers.
Say it now.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Uncle Bob.
Hey,
Hello.
Madison. There's the birthday girl.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Today's
man.
my birthday.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. How old are you?
4.
4?
Mhm.
Wow. What did you?
Hey, I'm gonna jump off here, guys.
Yeah, for sure. No worries.
You
Just
say
real
go
quick.
Chiefs?
What did you think of the refereeing, Madison?
Say boo, refs. Perfect.
All right.
All right.
All right, Nick. Yeah, we'll let you jump off. We're gonna close down here pretty quick.
All right.
So,
Peace
good
out,
to see you,
everybody.
Nick.
Go Chiefs.
We'll holler at you. Yeah, go Chiefs, no doubt, for sure. I think we're going to wrap it up here. Been a pretty good show. Again, if this is your first time joining Chiefs Kingdom Live, you'll notice the new name. I guess you could say we're the artists formerly known as the Kingdom Cast at this point. So, no fans that bitch out and leave the game early, though, here on
Right.
Chiefs
We don't want to
Kingdom
be associated
Live.
with fair weather
I promise
fans.
you that. So when the going gets tough, we stick with the team. But click that like and subscribe button. Turn on notifications if you haven't already. It was good to have our man Brian and Doug in the comments here. We looking forward to the playoffs. One more game, kind of wraps up the regular season here against the Broncos, and then it'll be playoff episodes and playoff football. And
that feels great to say, right? That's all.
Oh,
like
does.
one of my Facebook memories a couple of years ago was playoffs. I was just so excited because like it had been so long, you know what I mean, and like gotten spoiled. So
yeah, I was talking about this with a coworker the other day, and I was talking about, are you going to the playoffs? Did you get your seats for the playoffs? I was like, yeah. I was like, those are really the only games I really get really excited for anymore. And like when I said it, I was like, damn, I sound like a total fucking spoiled brat. Like, I enjoy going to regular season games, but at this point, it's almost like the playoffs are when I really get pumped, and when you get in there, and Arrowhead gets you going, and it's not like I don't have a good time, but yeah, I kind of said that just without thinking as I was talking. I was like, man, I sound like a spoiled brat right now. Like, playoff games, those are the really fun ones to go to. So,
well, if the road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City, I'll try to make it out there.
Yeah, no, if we can get a divisional or a championship game, you need to get out here, no doubt, for sure. So, again, click that like and subscribe button. Turn on notifications if you haven't. We got the new name, Chiefs Kingdom Live. Same crew, same great content. You can find us on all the social media platforms too, Chiefs Kingdom Live. We appreciate all of our followers. We appreciate it.
Washington's renaming their team. Is it tonight?
No, I saw February 2nd. They said 2-2 of.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The Washington Groundhogs. Oh, that is Groundhogs Day. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that would be funny. What do you think? I just want real quick before we get out of here. You think they're going to go football team? You think they're going to keep it? The WTF?
I bet you they're going to say football club because like it's too close to WTF. You know what I mean? So I can see them going football club. I think they keep that kind of language in there. I don't think they go with like a mascot of any sorts. What about you?
Right. I think they should go with the Washington Lobbyists because that's who fucking owns DC anyway. That would be fitting for them. Or the Washington Special Interests, something like that. I think would really be a fitting name for the team that's in our nation's capital. But I think of all the stuff I saw, Red Hawks is probably the most likely outcome.
Red Hawks.
Yeah, I saw they put out a list of it was down to 8 finalists, and it was was the presidents, and it was the admirals or the generals, and it was Washington football team, and then they had a couple of animals in there, like Red Hawks, a couple other things. And to me, that just was kind of the one out of the 8 that I stood out the most. I could see them going with, because it kind of goes back to the old Redskins, right?
I can see it a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll see what they do there. But,
dangerous to throw a color in at that team's name with all their background, especially that color.
No kidding, right? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we'll get on out of here. We'll be back. I don't know if we're going to do a picks game, although Saturday is the Chiefs game now, so I don't know if we'll have time to get a picks segment in or not. But
well, our pick scores real quick, so I can have it here. We only do 4 or 5 a week, and it's usually all the AFC teams. Scott, you're 21-10. I'm 17-4, and Nick's 19-12. So
nice. Well, we should try to get a show in. I don't know if we could do Saturday before the game or something. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we can try to figure that out off air or something. So we'll talk. We'll holler at him. Thanks again for everybody that joined us. Brian, Doug, had some other viewers in there. Appreciate you guys sending in comments. Appreciate everybody that's followed us here lately, especially on Twitter. I think we're up over 400 followers now. Send us out there. We follow back. We're not like some of these uppity Chiefs shows and media thing that think it's cool to have 5,000 followers be following 20 people. This is Chiefs Kingdom. This is Chiefs Kingdom Live. The show's for the kingdom. It's not just for us. So we follow back, and we've been seeing some really good stuff from other Chiefs fans out there on Twitter. Really, really good shit. So follow us, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and until next time, let's go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs!